So we've covered basically the sales order header, the item level, and the schedule line level. Next, let's go in and talk about some other functions that are going to have some relevance for data analysis that maybe aren't part of the kind of the main big three that I think of when we're talking about data analysis in the sales order, but some of these others are very important too. So to start off with, let's talk about document flow up here. And what document flow is basically each order will eventually most likely get billed, may get delivered, may have credits, returns against it. But a sales order comes into the system. It may have come in from a quote or even an inquiry or a contract, then an order. Then the order is going to be what we're looking at here right now. Then let's say we have shippable items on here. So we could have a delivery, and then the delivery may have subsequent processes as well, but eventually then the delivery would get billed, or items on the order not relevant for delivery but relevant for billing get billed, and then that billing document goes to accounting. So all this gets stored in document flow, which we can go take a look at for this item and see what we have. And it's going to be different for each document you go in and look at depending on what's happened. But document flow is a great way to go get a quick historical look at what's occurred for a document. You can see in this case, we didn't have a contract, quote, inquiry, nothing up above it, as indicated by the arrow here. We're on the order. But we did have a delivery, which then had a transfer order, which then we shipped. And then we billed that delivery, as indicated here. You can see the invoice is linked up to the delivery here. It did go to accounting. You can see we had one return against that invoice already. And then we had a credit memo issued again for that standard sales order. Okay. And then even another return for this order. So you might see all kinds of various documents and everything all linked up here. You could have a real simple scenario where there's only an order, maybe only an order, a delivery, and a billing document. But this is going to tell you kind of what's happened with that order. You might see various information here in the status area too. We can see that the returns open, credit memos open, returns still open here too. Our orders complete. We can go to the status overview as well directly from here, which is again is going to give us more detailed information, but similar to what we saw in the order on that status, going over from the header status, total processing, complete, and then statuses down at the item level as well. Okay, so status overview and document flow together give us a lot of information about that order and kind of what's happened within the system. So these are two big areas for analysis. We'll do some actual analysis using the document flow so you're comfortable with it. And it's a great area to look at, especially if you're having consistent troubles on certain documents getting through the system or errors occurring in the document flow. It's something to be comfortable with. Okay, I'll go back to the order overview here. Okay. Okay, and next I'd like to point out, if we go to the partners area here, okay, we talked about partners earlier, but I'd also like to point out here for this order, notice we've got many partners here and we've got many more possibilities. So again, we're talking about a relationship here of one order to many partners. So the partners area is going to have its own table area as well. So I'd just like to point that out. It'll make more sense when we get to the table analysis there. And same thing here too, when we're talking about the item level and pricing. This is another area here too where the pricing is going to be stored in a table and will have its own data analysis as well, or it can be conducted, kind of joint analysis with the sales order and pricing too. But just like to point out some of the areas that have their own set of tables outside of the big three: header, item, and schedule line. Okay, so hopefully that kind of shows you what an order is in the system and common fields that are used. We'll pick up on those fields that I mentioned as we go through the analysis and use those. But each field, depending on the system, could have its own importance. So just being generally familiar for now is good enough, but I think as you do your own data analysis, you'll get a good feel for what fields are really important in your system. Okay, so that kind of wraps up this section. Next, we'll kind of jump in and talk about the tables themselves.